Okay, so usually I talk about digital accessibility and where you can make changes to your digital accessibility, but today I want to talk to you something about real physical accessibility needs. So, have you ever found that you've bought a product and then you're trying to read the instruction manual and you can't figure it out? I've had this happening more and more frequently. I'm not that young anymore and my eyes are getting weaker. And I want to talk about one of those today. So, today, what I'm going to be talking about is I'm going to be talking about the Michoo catgrass pot plant. So, I have catgrass pot plants at home, and what I found is over time, the particular one that I have, when I put the catgrass in there and then when I keep the water up to it, one of two things happens. So, one, the grass grows, but I end up with mold spores in the bottom of the container, which I don't want my cats eating around mold spores because gosh knows what that's going to be doing to their insides. The other issue that I get is I don't get the mold spores and the grass actually gets quite sick. It turns a really pale shade of green when it should be a darker shade of green, and it dies very, very quickly, and my cats don't get to experience it at all. So I branched out and I thought I'll try this new Michoo catgrass planter that I've seen. It's a self-watering planter and it looks like it eliminates some of the problems that I had with my other planter. So that was great. I bought it. It came in this nice little box. It has humor. I really love it. So anyway, we open up the Michoo and we run into the first design problem. So the first design problem that I ran into is, if you have a look here, this is the instruction card. And I'm hoping that the screen is capturing that fairly well. But what you can see with this instruction card is it's using their brand colors, or one of their brand colors, which is great. But unfortunately, this is not the best use of their brand colors. So if you have a quick look at that brand color, that is this very, very lime green, and they're using white writing on top of it. And I don't know about you, but I've asked every one of my friends that have come over this week if they could read this, and they said no. My friends who have different vision to me, they had to take off their glasses. They had to hold it as close as possible. Oh, wow. And as it gets closer, I can't see it. They had to hold it as close to their face as possible, and they still couldn't make it out. But yeah, trying to read the steps, totally not possible to do. Now, I understand that, people want to use their brand colors, and that makes perfect sense, right? You want people to represent your brand and to understand what that brand is. But the problem is that you do run down the trick of, if your brand colors don't have good color contrast to, say, white or black, you're going to run into problems where people just aren't going to be able to read your content. So, something that you need to think about. Now, the other interesting thing is they do have other brand colors. So if you turn the card over, you'll see there's such a cute little picture here of a cat, and it's using orange. Now, honestly, that white would stand out better on the orange. So it's not all about getting rid of your brand. It's more about choosing what elements of your brand you use where to make it easier for people to read. So this lime green color may not be a problem if it's written in large text, if you've got a black outline around the white text. For this top level heading content, it may be perfectly okay. But when it comes to this lower level, if you want to go with color, which you don't necessarily need to go with a colored background, but if you do want to go with color, I'd strongly suggest going with the orange instead. Now, this is one of the issues, and this is most definitely the accessibility issue that you're going to see with this product. But the other thing that I found really interesting, and I wouldn't want to see if I were promoting my brand. So here is my planter, right? So this is how my planter will sit most of the time. So you have an inner plant ring, which you can lift out. And you can see here I've got a moisture wick. So the moisture wick sits in the water that's below it, and that helps the grass. And you can see I've got little roots coming out of the grass, which is wonderful. It's actually growing. I only planted this up a day ago, so that's fantastic. So the wick will bring up the moisture and put it into your plants, and then you're going to end up with grass sprouts, which is really, really good. So far it is doing what it's meant to do. Now, if someone comes around to my house and I don't have this difficult instruction card to remember what it was called, or I didn't save the box. Little tip, if you are building stuff for cats and you put things in boxes, you should have little cut here lines so that people can make really cool box forts. Well, that is what I am doing. Every one of my Amazon boxes that comes, I'm currently turning into a box fort. One day it will be epic, but luckily I do have that box. So if someone were to ask me, oh, Kylie, what is this brand? What catgrass planter? I can point them to the box and I can tell them. Because if you look at this from a distance, in its Nice little shiny case, which is very pretty. I really like the design. I like the feel of the design. It's got this really nice texture to it. But if someone was looking at this from a distance, maybe they saw it in the vet office, they wouldn't necessarily know what the brand is. And you can see that there's a tiny bit right around here. There's some green text, that same green that we were struggling before. Now, if you're smart, I'm not always that smart, but if you're smart, you can lift it up and then you can see it is in that green and it does have the branding there. Now, again, the green is still a little bit challenging to see on that white, so I would be strongly encouraging you to increase the size of the text. But you can see as soon as I put this down, you've lost the brand again. It's completely obscured by this nice decorative sensory texture that you have on the outside, and no one can see it. So if I were doing brand design, the things that I would think about first is, you know, is this color going to be something that stands out at a distance? Is it something that people are going to be able to read easily? And right now the answer is no. So what I would make recommendations are, well, the first thing is people will go, where should we put the branding? Now, obviously, for something that is wet, you do not want to put the brand thing on the bottom. Oh, and this is the first time I've looked at the bottom, and interesting, I can see bits of dirt in there, so I'll have to clean that regularly, I think. But I would not suggest putting it on the bottom because some people are going to pick it up, they're going to go to have a look, and then you're going to hold it above their head and get scared by a small child, get knocked over by a cat. It happens. I have an 8-kilo cat, right? He is giant, right? He's a Norwegian forest cat. He's going to bump me, right? So if he comes running through the house like he tends to, total reckless, I might drop this. The other thing is, some people are not so smart. And when I have a migraine, I'm probably not so smart. I'd probably try and tip it up. And as you can see, the water level is getting higher and it's only a matter of time before this spills all over my computer. So you don't want to put it on the bottom, okay? Now, I understand that you don't necessarily want to ruin the aesthetics here, but option that I would go through is I would have a section here that is just flat and has very clearly the brand name on it. Now, by doing that, people then have the option of they can turn it back if they don't want to see it and they just want to see this lovely texturing, or they can keep it front. So, you know, if you've got it in a pet shop or if you've got it in a vet, it's very, very clear to people what it is so they don't, and they can go buy something, right? The other thing that you could do is you have a white rim and there's no decoration on the rim, it's just a white rim. You could put the brand name repeated multiple times around the white rim. Now, yes, that does have some problems. Like, for example, when the grass gets tall, you may not easily be able to see around the edges, but at the moment I can't easily see the brand either, so I can't recommend it to anyone. So these are just a few of design considerations that you should be putting ahead when you are thinking about accessibility and when you are thinking about how people are going to interact with your tech. So we're not always working in an online world. We're sometimes working in a physical world, and people still need that accessibility. You know, when I'm on a digital computer, I will increase my font size and everything's all okay, but I can't do that here. So if I want to be able to see this across a room, then I'm going to need that brand to be bigger. I'm going to need it to be more prominent. And if you have it more prominent, people are more likely to buy it. The other thing is, this picture of a cute little cat would look absolutely adorable on cat grass. So you could even potentially get rid of this rippling and put the cute little cat on here with the logo. Or, and yeah, this would add a little bit more cost, but as a consumer, I'd be more than happy to do it, is have different options. So one could be that you have this beautiful textured thing and you have a sticker, which is the really cute cat. And you can put the sticker of the really cute cat and the brand name on if you want it. And if you don't have to put it on. You could still print it on the inner container if you wanted. So that way, if someone does want something completely obscured. The other option is you could ship it. You could have different color options, different colorways. So at the moment it's all clear, which is good because you can see the water level. You can see that the rope's getting into there. You know, that's quite helpful. But there's nothing to say that you couldn't make a blue or a green or an orange. You know, make it some nice colors that people are going to look at and they might want to have, you know, sitting on their desk. My house is not the cleanest. I have a long-haired Norwegian forest cat. And even though I have no carpeted floors, everything is polished floorboards, I do run into the problem where everything is filthy. So white, not generally a good look. Black, not generally a good look. Colored though, usually stands up against cat fur. So always looks really good. So that's my little tip. How do I feel about the product? So far, I really like the product. Like I said, it's just these design considerations, the difficulties of reading this, seeing a packet, a spoon, the pot, and a mug doesn't really help me to understand exactly what it's expecting me to do. And it doesn't come with a spoon. So why it's showing a spoon, I'm not entirely sure. I didn't use a spoon. The first thing I did, I just ripped it open and I just tossed it in. Yeah, you know, like you don't necessarily need that step, or you could potentially use a different icon showing you pouring a seed packet. Anyway, these are my random thoughts. I do like the product. I do think it's going to solve some of my problems. So, and I did like the price point. So am I going to buy it again? Probably. We'll see how long the cat grass lasts when it's in there. But this is a lot cleaner and a lot less messy than the Cat It one that I had. So, you know, that's awesome. The other really awesome thing is I found out after I was trying to figure out who to contact about the fact that I can't read their instruction manual, is that it is actually run, it is an Australian-owned company run by women, which is fantastic. We got to be careful not to make sure we don't call them the crazy cat ladies, but you know, I'm one of them too. But it's an organization run by women. It is Australia. They're based in Melbourne. So fantastic. If I can get something for half the price of the Cat It example that I have, and so far it's working better. I'm not getting any kind of instances of mold. I'm seeing everything growing. It's like literally been 2 days. Then I think I've got a pretty good product here. So will I buy it again? Yes. Generally, when it comes to anything with my cats, I've got 2 cats, they get 2 of everything, just in case, right? One might be chewing on the cat grass and another one might want to chew on the other cat grass. But so far, really happy with it. Just a few little flaws on the design that I think we could fix just to make it better for everyone.